Welcome to the Waymarks program. This is reflection number 1.3 entitled God's Unconditional Love. I'm Ginny Joy, and with me is Dowsett. I'm going to share with you some of my reflections on this reading that we had in our book on the unconditional love of God. I think one of the things that was most striking to me is that understanding that God's love doesn't depend on what I do. It just depends on Him and on the fact that He is love, and He has to be true to Himself, and He loves me no matter what. In the reflection that we were reading, there were some things in there about prayer and how we experience God's love in prayer. And that's true. It is a place where we can experience Him. But what I've seen in my life is that His love isn't dependent on whether I feel His love or whether I directly experience His love. It's really dependent on the truth that He loves me no matter what. And so there's an element of belief and trust in there. I did think of an experience that I had. This was quite a number of years ago. Because we had our children very quickly, all very close together, time was busy and sometimes really overwhelming. And we had our third son. I had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and then this newborn baby. And in those first few weeks, life just felt so overwhelming. And I would get up in the morning and think, oh yeah, I'm supposed to try to find time for prayer. Oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? And finally one day I just said to the Lord, okay, Lord, hold on to me, because I don't have the mental energy or whatever it takes. I don't have the strength to hold on to you. So you're just going to have to hold on to me. And you know, He did. And that's evidenced, I think, by the fact that I'm still here and still following Him, you know, still trying to learn more and more about Him. And it showed me that His love isn't dependent even on my prayer or my actions or what I can or can't do. His love is just dependent on the fact that He loves me, and that's like the bottom line.
Unconditionally.
Yeah.
And at that time in your life, your vocation was taking care of children. So even if you didn't have a separate time to pray, you were praying as part of being a mom, I think, which shows that, like you said, that God's love is unconditional no matter our circumstance.
That's true. And, you know, even that one little prayer, that was still prayer. You know?
Exactly.
And it still enabled me to have an experience of Him. Yeah.
You were talking about trust, and recently I gave a witness at a encounter healing meeting that took place, and the theme was trusting God. And as I was preparing for this, I reread that. And what I discovered as I was writing about my experiences in life about trusting Him, how it morphed into really God's unconditional love. And so you talked about the element of trust and how we have to really do nothing but trust that God is always going to be there with His unconditional love. And the talk for me, I don't know how people perceived the talk that I was giving, but kind of turned into more of God's loving grace and just how amazing it is that we really don't have to do anything. That the God of the universe, isn't that amazing to think that, is longing to love us unconditionally without without, no matter what we give back. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think it's very much similar to the way you love a child. You know, your children hopefully don't have to earn your love, you know, and we're imperfect human beings, and so sometimes we don't love unconditionally, but in the ideal, you know, you love that child because that's your child.
Exactly.
And that's how God is with us.
Yeah.
You know, we are his children, and he loves as a father loves, but perfectly. And that, I think, is really key to God's unconditional love, to realize that he's our father. This is a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he desires to pour out his love on us.
It's interesting that you talked about that, because that was another thing that I thought of while preparing. Is I always thought of my mom was the one person that always gave me unconditional love, and we can always go to our mom, right? And then I remember when she passed, I thought, oh, I feel like a motherless child, and I was an adult at the time on this earth. And it wasn't really till sometime after that I began to develop a relationship with God, and realized quickly after that there's the unconditional love that I'm seeking.
It's probably because your mother was interceding for you before his throne.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's excellent. It's excellent.
Yep. So one of the scriptures that I talked about was Jeremiah 29:11, and I talked that for I know well the plans that I have for you. Mm-hmm. And I think that goes along with the theme of that unconditional love of, you know, God knows. He knows every hair on our head, and he knows before we even know that, you know, what he has in store for us.
Well, and the rest of that Jeremiah verse, you know, plans for your good and not for your destruction.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. Because sometimes what he has planned and what's going on doesn't look that good, or doesn't feel that good to me, you know. Okay, you know,
so true.
Trials or whatever.
Like raising those children.
You know, whatever thing you're embroiled in at the moment. But to remember that he makes plans for my good. Mm-hmm. And so, and again, that goes back to, what are you going to believe? You know, that experience that you're maybe embroiled in right then that's difficult, or are you going to believe what he tells us, that the plans are for good? Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's a choice that you get to make every day. What am I going to believe today? Yeah. And if you choose to believe in his unconditional love, you're making a good choice. You're making the right choice there.
Yep. And our lives are so much better when we make that choice, right?
Right.
Yeah. When we follow that good that he has, planned for us. Yeah.
I also really liked in our reading here about that whole idea of his mercy being so full for us. After our kids grew up, we had room to make a little prayer place in what used to be a bedroom, and I have a little desk in there, and I have the picture of Divine Mercy right above my desk. So when I sit there, I can kind of, you know, take that in. And I just love the idea that no matter what we do, no matter what how I sin or how I ignore God, or how I sometimes get angry with him or whatever, I can just return. Mm-hmm. And yet, you know, that whole image of get up, try again, because here's this flood of mercy. And he always makes a way for us to do that, which is just wonderful.
Amazing.